How you doing? I'm your man, John Wilson, and today I'm going to show you how to use the point-slope formula. Then I'm going to show you how to identify y-intercepts from a graph. Last but not least, I'm going to show you how to put all that together to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Now, the point-slope formula specifically is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We can use that to find the slope between any two points on a line. Now for this graph, I've already been given two specific points. In order to use the slope formula, I must identify the coordinate pairs that correspond to these points. So I'll go to my first point here. To identify the coordinate pair, I start at the origin. I move left 3 places. I don't have to go up or down. So because I move left, that's -3 on the x, 0 on the y. The other coordinate pair, start at the origin, I have to go up 3 places. I do not have to go right or left, so it's just going to be 0, 3. So I have my two coordinate pairs now. Now that I have those coordinate pairs, I can use the slope formula. And I'm going to write my coordinate pairs here, 0, 3, -3, 0, and let me show you how we take this and turn it into this. First thing, we have to understand that coordinate pairs are written just like the alphabet. X comes before y. So that's an x value, y, x, y. Only thing we really have to identify here is my y2. Now it doesn't matter which of these values you decide to make your y2, but I like to pick the bigger or larger of the y values to make my y2. That will allow me to have a positive number for my numerator no matter what. So that means that 3 and 0, 3 is larger, that becomes my y2. If that's my y2, the integer next to it automatically becomes my x2 in the formula. I go to the other coordinate pair now. If that's y2, the other y value has to be y1, and you guessed it, the integer next to it has to be x1. So once we have this information, I'm going to substitute these values here into my formula, and it's going to look like this. I'm going to write y2, which is 3 minus 0, y2 minus y1, over 0. Immediately write that subtraction sign because we're going to have a -3 here, so we have to put that in parentheses. I'm going to get rid of these two signs. I don't like them. I know that when I have two negatives next to each other, there's parentheses that indicates multiplication. That's going to become a positive. So it ends up becoming 3 minus 0 over 0 plus 3. That becomes 3 over 3, which equals 1. That means that the slope of this line, also known as the m, is 1. In order to find the y-intercept from a graph, it's just visual. You track the line and you identify wherever this line crosses over this y-axis right here. Well, we know it crosses at 0, 3. The y value is 3, so my y-intercept, also known as my b, is equal to 3. Once I know the m and the b, I can write an equation in slope-intercept form. I simply substitute 1 in for the m, 3 in for the b, and I end up with y is equal to 1x plus 3, or I don't really need to write the 1 because I know that that's an x, and if I have an x, I have 1x. I could write it as y equals x plus 3. Okay, so that's 1. Here we have a positive slope. Let's see what happens if we would have a negative slope. Looking here, as I go from left to right, my line is going down. That indicates I'm going to have a negative slope. But I repeat the process. I identify the coordinate pairs here, and I'm going to substitute those into my slope formula. First coordinate pair is 0, 4. Second coordinate pair is going to be, well, this is going up by 2s, 2, 4, 6. So immediately in between 4 and 6 is going to be the number 5. That is 5, 0. So we'll write these coordinates over here, 0, 4, 5, 0. 4 is the larger of the two y values. That's my y2. So that's my x2. That's my y1. That's my x1. I substitute into the formula, and I'm going to get 4 minus 0 over 0 minus 5. I do some quick math here to get 4 over -5. So my slope, now that I've done the subtraction, is going to be -4/5. I have my slope, -4/5. I go and I find my y-intercept. It's right here where this line crosses over the y-axis. So that is 4. I can now go in, write an equation for this line. y is equal to 4/5 x plus 4. Did I forget something? You're right. It's a -4/5. That's a common mistake when you're transferring over from your work to your final answer. Sometimes a symbol gets lost. Make sure you go back and double check so that you don't get the problem wrong. Last but not least, if we take away the graph and I just give you the 2 points, you can find the slope. How would you find the y-intercept? We'll get to that in 1 second. First, let's go in and let's find the slope here. We repeat the same process. Identify my y values as 9 and 5. 9 is the larger of the 2 y values, so that's my y2. That becomes my x2. That's my y1. That's my x1. They go into the formula. 9 minus 5 over 4 minus a -3. I combine these symbols here, 2 negatives, we'll turn that into a positive, and I'm going to get 4 over 4 plus 3 is 7. So my slope is 4/7. I know the m. To find the y-intercept, I start by writing the slope-intercept equation. Y equals mx plus b. I know the slope is 4/7. Do I know what the x and the y are? Yeah, I got 2 of them right here, an x and a y and an x and a y. I'm going to choose to substitute this x-y combo into my formula to find b, my y-intercept. So the 9 goes in for the y, the 4 goes in for the x plus b. I do some quick math, and I'm going to end up with 9 is equal to 16/7 plus b. I need to get b alone, so I'm going to subtract 16/7 from both sides of the equation, and I will then, once I do all the math, end up with b is equal to 7 5/7. So I have my slope, I have my y-intercept, but you're probably thinking, hey, wait a second, you made a mistake there. You're right, you gotta be careful when you subtract fractions. That's not supposed to be 7, that's supposed to be 6. You got it. You gotta be careful. Simple mistakes like that happen. So we're gonna go in, that is going to be 6 5/7. Once again, be careful. Don't want to make simple mistakes when you know how to do all the hard stuff. We're going to write our equation now. Y is equal to 4/7 x plus 6 5/7. That is the equation of my line, and I'm done. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a good comment. I'll see you next time. That's another reason math matters.